Hi, my friends. Welcome to Sort of Brilliant, a show where the characters are made up and the sorting absolutely does matter. My name is Rachel.
And I'm her best friend and co-host, Lauren. Every other week, we're going to invade a fandom and determine whether your favorite character belongs in Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin.
We're the Harry Potter podcast that talks way more about any other franchise.
Here, we use the sorting structure from Harry Potter as a common language without supporting the author or her beliefs. As for the sorting itself, there's bound to be some arguments along the way.
But in the end, we're always right.
According to us.
According to us.
Dun dun dun. I don't remember the supernatural music.
Let's carry on.
Boom. No, I like the sound they do with the credits.
It's like, ew.
I know. The opening does that too. It goes, This is the intro. We're doing the supernatural.
This is it.
Also the Winchesters intro. Hey, we're talking about our favorite show today. Well, the prequel to our favorite show.
Yeah.
Mr. Jensen Ackles deigned to bless upon us.
He said,
he saw,
not on my watch.
He said, not my fix-it fic. Too good for AO3. We're putting it on the CW, baby. Let's go.
This man is really out here writing fan fiction for real, and he got it produced. For real
is
everything.
Like, I already acted this out in my backyard. I'll do it in front of a camera. It's fine. Puppets with Misha Collins.
Oh my God! Release the tapes. We need Cass back. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Yes.
Cass isn't in this season.
Yeah.
But he's on the CW. They're besties.
They are.
Bring them in.
Hopefully they'll remain on the CW. That's also our vendetta. Renew the Winchesters.
Hell yeah.
Even if it's not the CW, because they kind of tank now, like they suck. HBO Max, or I guess what is it called now? Max.
Bro,
pick it up.
I don't know what's going on.
Why would you take away the HBO part? That's like the part that people are like, oh, all of my shows are on this network.
Yeah, you're like, all the good shows really are on HBO. Right. So let's delete that.
Forever,
what?
Right? Like for the past 30 years, like they haven't.
No, sincerely, altered. They've been like from Sopranos, fucking everything good has been on there. True Blood.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
I know.
I have to tell you, we're doing Gilmore Girls next, spoiler. And I started watching it.
That rewatch. Wow.
I started watching it today. Yeah, you lied to me. You said it was only like a couple, like 3 or 4 seasons. It's 7.
Fuck my life. You're joking.
No, it's 7.
How am I going to do that?
I started watching it today. Jared Padalecki's in it, so this is the connection. But I started watching it. I made it to episode 6 before we had to record, and I can tell you right now, I don't like anybody on that show. So we'll see how that continues.
I like Lorelai. I really do,
bro. I heard from somebody who likes the show that Lorelai is someone that they really, really loved as watching this live as a young person, and now watching it as an adult, they're like, why did I ever like Lorelai?
Oh no, I don't want to not like her.
I don't dislike. I don't
it's also
dislike
of its
anybody.
Time, right?
I don't. Yes. I don't dislike anybody on the show. Let me be clear. Yet I don't dislike anybody. I just
Rory's
do not
right there.
I do not like anybody yet. She's still fairly harmless. She just had her 16th birthday or whatever. She's kind of just like Rory right now. I'm kind of like, what is the point of her? She
to piss me
talk
off.
at her. People talk at her and she doesn't say anything. And then when she does say stuff, she yells embarrassing things in public.
Yeah, what's wrong with her? I know, there's something wrong with that girl.
And that's all she does.
Yeah, she's annoying.
Also, people love Luke, and all he's done is shame these women for eating and drinking coffee. I don't understand. I don't understand.
I don't have much of a reply because I really love Luke. So.
All he's done so far is
he just
yell at them for eating food.
He's just a grumpy bitch. I love him.
He's like, fine, kill yourself, and puts coffee in front of them. I don't know.
He's so
funny. Now I see why you wanted to sort him. Trisha's going to be on that episode. So I was like, Trisha, who are we sorting? Because Trisha gets to choose. It's Trisha's show. And she was like, Rory and Lorelai. And she's like, and I guess we can do Rory's 3 guys. I don't remember. Dean, I know, because that's Jared Padalecki.
Dean, Jess, and
Jess,
Logan?
not Tristan. Logan. Okay, not Chad Michael Murray.
No.
Yeah. So I love Chad Michael Murray. Anyway, so I told Rachel, and Rachel was like, and she pretended not to know his name either. She was like, what about that coffee house guy? I don't remember his name. And I was like, I I think it's Luke. And Trisha didn't tell me we were sorting that guy. And then Rachel stopped responding. And now I know why.
I love Luke. Like a lot. Really. I feel like I get him. Okay. And I just really like, they're the ship for me, like that I want together. So
Lorelai and Luke.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
So I don't know. I'm very concerned now about rewatching this because I don't know. Her fucking narcissistic
I can tell
mom
you right
that pisses
now,
me off.
Yeah. They're all of the Gilmore ladies are pretty selfish people in different ways.
Yeah. I knew you know that even back in the day watching it. I knew that. They do shady shit. And they all fuck up like big. So
fun. I can't wait.
Yeah. There's a lot of drama.
I was just watching I only watched the pilot last night and then I stopped and I watched way more today. But watching the pilot alone when it was like Rory got into this super exclusive private school and she's like, never mind, I don't want to go because she talked to Jared Padalecki for 2 seconds. I was like, what?
Maybe the one time I related to her. I don't know. He was cute.
Dean, the real Dean.
Oh my God.
No, anyway.
Oh, so interested to think about where their houses are. I didn't do sorting back when I watched it for the first time.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you already know where they all are. They're pretty fucking, their personalities are really like.
No, I want to watch more.
Okay.
I haven't seen much of Dean. No, I want to watch more.
I know where. All right. We'll come back to this. Uh-huh. We are talking about a different Padalecki adjacent show.
Yeah. Actually, he wasn't invited on this show. No, that's a lie. I forgot that we don't want to make drama on this podcast.
No, we are only here for love, light, and support. And
the J-Vorce never happened. But for real, Jared likes this show, and he met with the young actors Drake and Meg, and Drake. We were just talking before we started recording how like insanely good Drake is at mimicking Jared's mannerisms as Sam, playing young John Winchester, like insanely good.
Yeah, his facial expressions.
Yes, facial expressions and how he moves his body.
I actually kind of like, I don't know how he's doing that, and it looks so natural and unconscious. Mm-hmm. He's obviously, he must be making the choice to move his everything like that. And I was like, holy fuck, it's exactly like Jared.
Good fucking actor, yeah.
He very much is. And Meg for Mary, phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal. So much Dean in her. So much Dean. They're just excellent. Like all the actors on the show are.
Yes. It's a show, like, I'm not saying this as a Supernatural fan. It really needs to be renewed. And I'll tell you right now, too, like, if you're a Supernatural fan and you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. Yeah. If you're not a Supernatural fan, watch it. You will not understand the storyline.
Yeah, they explain it really well.
Yeah, the Easter eggs won't be fun for you, obviously, because you won't know what's happening. But you do not need to have watched Supernatural in order to watch and enjoy this story.
Yeah.
And then you should watch Supernatural. I guess. But this one's only one season, so it's a bit easier.
Yeah. Well, I like ensemble casts and like mystery solving groups and whatever. I was getting very Nancy Drew vibes at some points.
Yeah, it's like a Scooby Gang type.
And I really loved Nancy Drew on the CW. Like, I mean, we've done an episode about it. You guys know. And like, I really got that feeling of just this like little found family, this little group, ragtag group. And they were so good. Like everyone. It didn't matter who you split up with who in each episode. Mm-hmm. I was still interested. And that's so important for me. Because sometimes on shows like that, character A and B will go off and then you have C and D over here. You don't really care. And you like tune out.
And it's clearly like the B team group.
Yeah. And it really was not like that. They did a very good job of making you care about each facet of the episode. So well done. I was very entertained. And I'd like to see where it goes from there. Like at the very end, Carlos is like, so what now?
Ackles and Robbie Thompson.
I want more.
Incredible job.
Yeah, really. Well, you knew it was going to be good in Robbie's hands.
Yes.
So
one of the best writers that Supernatural's ever had.
Hell yeah. Oh, man. I just remember the high that I felt when they announced this.
I
just remember.
I remember where I was, man. I was out mini golfing. And we saw the news and we were like, what the fuck? And then all of that stuff that wasn't drama at all, and it wasn't fun. None of us enjoyed it.
Misunderstandings
happened after.
Yeah.
The most energized the fandom had been since the finale.
For real.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. But it led to like such a spectacular place. This was such a good show, and it deserves. It really does deserve.
Those kids have been at conventions now, and it's been cute to like see them
part of everything,
become incorporated with and interact with like the main cast.
Yeah,
like it's really cute.
It's happening.
I witnessed Misha and Ruth like hugging them and meeting them for the first time in Atlanta. Well, Ruth had been on the show with them, spoiler, but it was very cute. Yeah.
I love that. Even like, I just, it's a very supernatural thing, but I like really enjoyed when Misha got to meet Jeffrey Dean Morgan too. Like they'd never shared a scene, but it was so cute seeing them, and they're all so respectful and just love each other immediately.
Yes.
And
that's one of the things I was telling Rachel. Drake was like a fan of the show before he like auditioned for the show. Like he loved Supernatural on his own as a fan, and then like went out for the show. And Drake, in like every episode or every interview, when they're like, "Which of the OGs would you want?" He's like, "Misha. I love Misha. I love Castiel." So yeah, I know he was really excited to meet Misha. I love Drake.
He's so good, man.
Yes,
they're just very talented. They're very talented.
They're dating, I think. I don't know that they've officially said that, but
that's cute if they are.
They've unofficially kind of been.
Well, yeah. I wish them all the best, and hopefully we get a season 2. Cute. So now we okay. So it's interesting because Lauren and I have had discussions about John and Mary's houses like years ago.
This is my redemption.
Oh, God.
All y'all came for me for John Winchester sorting. I
don't think when
I remember the pilot airing and me saying like, "Come talk to me now, guys," and everybody who yelled at me was like, "All right."
When you publicly gave your choice for John's house,
yes,
the Winchesters was not a thing yet.
No, it was based on Supernatural. And here's a clarification too. So the Winchesters technically is an alternate reality from Supernatural.
Right.
It's not the only characters, and we won't even talk about him. The only character that is the same exact person is Dean Winchester, and we already sorted him.
And I guess Bobby and Jack.
But like we said before, no matter what universe somebody is in, we've shown it with Peter Parker, we've shown it with they're going to be the same house,
right?
And I would even see this a little more differently because this John was the exact same person up to the specific point that Dean changed. So I'm going to talk about them totally interchangeably. Like I'm going to talk about Drake's John Winchester as if he is just young, supernatural JDM John Winchester.
It is the same thing. If you talked about Matt Cohen's portrayal of him, it would still be valid too. It's all valid because they're the same character.
The only the difference is that the Winchesters, John Winchester was given this group of friends,
right?
And he knows about hunting before,
and that can change anything.
Burned on a ceiling, if
you believe in there are people that believe in a multiverse in
was
general,
already
right?
set.
You are still you in Universe B
or
whatever. It's just that you've been given a different set of cards.
His John Winchesterness was set, so we just see him in two different situations.
He was excellent as John. Excellent. Yes. He did everything. And I mean, of course, the writing, whatever, and the acting put together, and they come together so beautifully. It was John. It was John if he was here. So it was very well done. So when I'm watching it and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking of the John that could be, the one that we knew. Because you can see how this little John would become that John.
You can see it. If he didn't stay in therapy, right?
Exactly.
That was basically the message of the show.
If he didn't have work on the breathing and
right. But at the end of the show, he's like, I have to work on my anger and recognize who I am, come to terms with that anger and be healthy with it.
And Mary's
literally
just healthy king. That's so hot.
And Mary's you can come with me on my car trip. That's fine.
Now that you said that you were going to get help.
Yeah. So this is just JDM's John never ever did that. But also, to be fair to JDM's John, I guess never mind, because that one also went to Vietnam and had this PTSD, and I guess
he didn't have friends
about it.
He didn't have any of this.
No, he met Mary. He had Mary.
But not the others.
That was all he had. No, but that's what I'm saying. JDM's John had Mary,
right?
And we're going to talk about this. He held on to Mary, and then Mary burned on the ceiling, and we saw what happened.
Well, so I think let's start with John. I think we start with John. So the John,
what a Hufflepuff!
Yeah, big time.
Y'all came for me. I'm sorry to all the Hufflepuffs who were like, I don't want John Wayne. I understand there are plenty of people I don't want in my house. Rachel's been much more expressive about the people that are in her house.
I'm tired of them.
Side note, Rachel.
What?
If this new Twilight TV show ruins Edward Cullen, I'm gonna be so upset.
You know how fucking excited I am for that.
listen, everybody was like, I don't want a revival. And I was like, no, listen. I was like, you're correct. I'm in your camp, but also I want another Edward Cullen so
bro.
bad. You don't even know he's insane. I love him.
I was having a very bad week, and I got that alert on my phone, like a news alert, like the universe knew.
The Google News alert because you're like Edward Cullen.
New York Times type shit that pops up on your phone. Oh man, I had a great day after that, and then I'm seeing everyone like, we don't want it. Shut your mouth. I want so much more of it.
Can they do it from his point of view, like Midnight Please?
Tortured dumbass. Please. Oh, he's such a judgy little asshole, little Gryffindor asshole. I love him deeply. We shouldn't be talking about Twilight.
No, we should. No, we shouldn't. We won't spoil anything because we already did Twilight. I was just going to say, we're also, Rachel and I both, Rachel a little bit before me, read A Court of Thorn and Roses.
Oh, yeah.
And
I tortured her until she fucking finally.
You didn't torture me. It was on my list.
I would not leave you alone about it.
I got through my to-read list much quicker than I would have, so I could read that next. And I loved it. And it is, it's going to be a TV show, I think, produced by Hulu. And we're very scared about the casting. And I feel the same way about Rhysand as I do about like whoever this new Edward Cullen is going to be. Like, they both need to be correct.
You know, I think because I've already gotten it done right once, I don't really care.
Okay. Robert Pattinson was perfect.
I don't think it's hard to find an Edward. I think it's hard to find a Rhysand. I do.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. The Twilight to ACOTAR pipeline is a thing.
I think it's pretty narrow, yeah.
Dude, I'm going to show you the TikTok that's like,
short ride.
This is just Twilight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But
anyway,
back
talking
to
about John
the
Winchesters.
Winchesters.
Yeah, so anyway, I said that he was a Hufflepuff based on the, he did like 9 episodes of Supernatural that we saw him in. And then we get, perspectives from Sam and Dean who view him very differently. So I was like, John Winchester's a Hufflepuff. And my Hufflepuff friends were very excited, which I understand, because John Winchester is an emotionally abusive asshole parent. He has his own tag on AO3, and it's John Winchester's A+ parenting. Like, a lot of the shit that he did made Dean who he is, and I love Dean, so I can never like be upset about that. But he really fucked up Dean's life.
Oh yeah,
incredibly, and fucked his mindset. So not a great person, and I know no Hufflepuff wanted to hear that they shared a house with him. And I know because of these stereotypes, it's hard to marry the like stereotypical view of like the sweet, nice, justice-loving Hufflepuff with
they're excellent finders.
With which is something I was going to talk about too because of something Drake's John says. And it's hard to marry that with John Winchester, who was who portrayed himself as extremely uncaring, was not a parent to his children, who parentified Dean Winchester. Parentified him in the case of, I need somebody to look after Sam.
Right.
Instilled this like toxic masculinity within Dean's line of thinking, instilled this black and white, good and bad, shoot first, ask questions later line of thinking.
He made him a soldier and stole his childhood.
Yeah, basically. So I know that everybody was upset about that, and I know I had to go into some DMs and explain why he was a Hufflepuff, and I know I did it correctly. And I know when the Winchesters pilot aired and we saw John Winchester fresh off the plane from Vietnam in 1972 with his PTSD and his cute little I'm trying my best attitude, I know I went on Twitter and I said, all you Hufflepuff deniers come at me now, and nobody could. So now we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So listen, you have to understand and acknowledge that whatever house you're in, you're going to get a couple of assholes. Like, so there are plenty of people, like Lauren said before, it's people in her house she rather wouldn't be, people in mine I'd rather really truly would not be, obviously. It's not like
Skywalker, but do you think I want the child genocide guy in my house?
Yeah,
like, do you think I want people pointing that and going, look, that could be you?
Seriously.
I don't like that idea.
Yeah, there's plenty I don't want near me. So it's like, it is what it is. I appreciate the perspective of this is what this character could have been if things had gone differently and he had gotten the help that he obviously needed to get. Because it puts it in a different perspective. And it's like, it is sad in a way because you're like, damn, look at the parents Sam and Dean could have had. Like, look at the life they could have had if you had been healthy. And it's all very bittersweet. But once you understand there are assholes everywhere, you have to kind of let that go and be like, okay, it is what it is. Because there's no denying this dude's a Hufflepuff. And it's also what Lauren was speaking to before, where the house stereotypes can make that hard to reconcile. Okay, fine. But we did an episode all about Regina. Regina's a Hufflepuff. Right. Regina from Once Upon a Time is a Hufflepuff.
Also genocidal.
She's a genocidal maniac. So
Hella's a Hufflepuff.
Hella from Thor. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's
Hannibal's a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, sorry if you don't agree. It's true. But also, like, Castiel from Supernatural is a Hufflepuff. He's another soldier,
was
like
also
a war-torn soldier.
genocidal.
He's also somewhat genocidal. Thank you. I was going there too.
We forgive him.
I'm not saying John is genocidal. I don't.
No, he wasn't actually.
Maybe of demons.
Monsters might have said that he was genocidal.
Right. But I'm just saying, if you understand the way that we sort and you watch his character on this show and also on the OG Supernatural,
it's very clear.
It's very clear. There's a number of indicators that you have to hit for each house, and he hits them all for Hufflepuff.
I'm excited about John too, because we've had adjacent this type of community based out. We're going to get more. Rachel and I are going to get into this whole thing we were discussing before the episode that we really should have recorded about role-based Hufflepuffs. But before we get into that, I just want to say generally, I'm excited because I've been waiting for this type of Hufflepuff, and we just haven't been doing military type show, which is fine.
We got a little with Soldier Boy.
A little with Soldier Boy. Oh, that's right. A little with Cass, but he switches his community. So it's not so much. And a little with Sam Wilson, but again, not really because Sam is barred from that community on the basis of being a racial and ethnic minority. So, like he doesn't get the full that a white man does. So John Winchester is a military Hufflepuff. Like his community and his understanding of how he acts as a soldier within a unit. Like that's how he understands it. And that's what he takes to hunting as the older John Winchester who learns about hunting after after Azazel comes from Mary. And that's how he treats his children as soldiers in a war against monsters.
Hella does too. Hella and Thor too. She's a soldier. I mean, she's like,
I guess, but
army of masses.
Her army are undead. Like she doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't again. I guess we'll get into this with the role Hufflepuff, but she doesn't assign. They're all just bodies that she throws at a wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's specifically assigning roles to Sam and Dean in what he wants them to do, and
and he's militant about it,
and how the unit needs to work, and is militant about it,
right? Because he wants his family to be a unit in that way. It's a well-oiled machine, and that becomes his. So you move through communities as a Hufflepuff. You can switch communities, and you can go. Poor Cass, he had a really big switch up. And John, I don't know that he necessarily ever leaves our John, the OG John. I don't think he ever leaves the military mindset. So
I don't think Drake's John does.
No,
either.
not really.
Yeah,
we may see it, but for as far as our John goes, with all the loss and everything that he goes through, and with no therapy and nothing. So he moves into family man, but he doesn't know how to do that without Mary, and he's filled with so much rage and PTSD. That he's reverting to what makes sense to him, which is just
revenge.
Being an asshole soldier.
Kill the bad guy.
Kill the bad guy. I need a right-hand man. That's going to be my son.
And he has Dean and Sam. And he puts them in these roles. Dean, as the oldest one, is, like you said, his right-man hand, your frontline soldier. And you need to take care of the baby.
He's a civilian.
Sam was literally a baby at that point. He was
He's a civilian. He doesn't want to even hunt.
And they kept him from knowing about hunting for so long. Well, John did. John was like, you cannot tell Sam about monsters because it's almost like a cousin to othering. He's othering in a way, in the way that he assigns roles. He refuses to look at people as anything other than the role. And it almost others them in the sense that instead of being Dean, his son Dean, he's just his role. So he doesn't examine his emotions. Or how
it's very boomer mentality. It's very boomer mentality. Like a lot of us as millennials can probably relate to some of those traits in our own parents.
You can see his like and he trains it out of Dean when Dean doesn't react the way that his role should react. Like, you're my lieutenant. You need to react in the correct way. Like, yes, sir. Dean calls him sir. You have to react in the way. And he trains it out of a child Dean. He's like, you cannot react to me as a person, as a child with emotions.
Yeah.
You need to react to me as a commanding officer.
Right.
And he gets Dean to do that.
And it's the same also with Sam, where Sam has to stay under their thumb as the civilian. He's not supposed to deviate from the group. He's not supposed to leave the group. So when Sam goes off to college, because he, God forbid, wanted something different for himself than this life and the role that his father wants him in, his dad, John's pissed.
John also learns that he's like this key, right?
Yeah.
Like, so he's also like,
there's
keep an eye on you. Yeah.
There's that.
I don't remember. Did the show ever tell us when he learned that? Was it when he disappeared? Was it when he disappeared and they're like, Dad's on a hunting trip?
I think it's implicated that that's the whole reason he's going. Like, he's got this news and that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing in season 2. It's like, Sam's fucked up, bro.
And like, I guess we can like finish talking about old John and then get into like Winchester's John. All the same John, but like there's not as much to cover with this. Like, it's just, that's what he does to Dean. And his very last breath is spent othering his children. He tells Dean that he needs to murder Sam, this child that he forced his other child to love like and treat and raise as a son.
Yep.
He's like, okay, I'm dying. I was going to do this, but now I'm about to die, so you have to do it.
Yeah.
Kill your brother.
I expect you to as my right-hand man.
Yes. Yeah. These are my dying words. Like,
and so like,
this is my last, like, command.
Yeah, my last command. Isn't it so interesting how when Jeffrey Dean Morgan returned for that episode where John and Mary get back together and everything, because they're in a situation where they're all in their roles as like in a healthy way. Like, he goes there and he sees his sons and he sees his wife.
Doesn't act up at all.
He's completely fine. He's like, maybe I was my wife. Dick.
There are my 2 children. We're having a family dinner.
Yep. Completely. I'm fine with this now because we're supposed to be in those roles. It's very boomer man who's been to war. I'm telling you. Like, I see that a lot with just people I've known. It's very common. A boomer has been to war. Hufflepuff.
Again, very clear. Those types of Hufflepuffs are not automatically bad people.
Right.
It's just John Winchester.
No, it is. And it's because, and okay, so we can tie this in with Drake's portrayal too. It's the anger issues and the PTSD. He doesn't
and I
sit
love
right
that
with like that ever.
We got to meet Millie, who is John's mom, who we never hear about in like the Winchesters. We don't know what happened to her.
Right.
Because Dean and Sam don't know about their grandma. They have no clue. So we don't know what happened to her, but she's a really prominent character in the Winchesters, and she gives some sense of like backstory to like John's childhood. She's like, John was always an angry kid and he was always running headfirst into a fight. Like, that's just what he did. And I can't really fault him for it because his father just up and left when he was like, 5 or 6, like just disappeared from their life. And he was spending that's the thing too, that John was searching for his dad. He went to fight in the Vietnam War in order to try to figure out what happened to his dad.
And
it was such a huge missing part of him because he didn't understand. I think he was like, my dad is supposed to be my dad and he's not here as my dad. So like, what's going on?
Yeah. There's also the, like we talk about this on like so many of our episodes where there's a Hufflepuff Slytherin overlap. He does what Steve Rogers does. Like, he lies to get in. Doesn't he use his dad's name to sign up?
Yes, he's
underage.
He gets in underage. He signs as Henry a waiver that says he's allowed to fight at 15,
so he's like forging his way in. But it's different than from how a Slytherin would do it, because the way that I see Steve Rogers approaching that is that he's like, I'm the one for the job. Like, I am the one for the job. He's not going for answers within his like roles in the world. John's like trying to make sense of everything all the time. Like,
he's trying to fit somewhere. I think he fits in the military. Like, he obviously, I mean, like, one of his big driving points behind his PTSD is that he was unable to save his friend. Yeah. His like soldier friend.
Yeah. That was
like
huge.
A big thing for him when he gets. Yeah. So he fit into the military. And I was going to say this too, like, no matter how silly a Harry Potter musical is with their like Hufflepuffs are a particularly good finders
pretty
thing.
good at the house.
But John says that his job in the military was to find people.
Oh my
that's
God.
what he was doing. Do you remember?
Oh my God.
When Mary's like, how did you find me? He's like, that was kind of that was my thing. That's what I was supposed to do.
Not a stereotype, baby. Damn. Oh, come on, guys. You know he's a Hufflepuff. Shut up.
A Harry Potter musical thinks they're so funny, but they're just out there spitting straight
out there
facts.
being right,
I don't know.
in my face. I gotta rewatch that. Oh, man.
I know.
Yeah, so Drake's portrayal is very, it's very like in tune with what the character that we know would have been up to that point, right? So then
what you just said too with the Slytherin overlap, like I don't know how much of an argument this is now, but Sam was much closer to who John is than Dean.
Definitely.
Even though like Sam and John clash, that's why they fought.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure, because I think Sam and John had the same understanding, but they couldn't come at it from the same direction.
Yeah.
Because John was coming at it as like this role. Sam needs to fit where I'm telling him to fit.
Yep.
And Sam is Sam.
Sam will not fit where you desire. Sam will go where Sam wants.
Sam will go where Sam wants.
Sam will become Lucifer if Sam wants.
And yes, and I think Sam, because he was not parentified by, like Sam has a pretty, not like a
it's
like
not easy, but it's
upbringing.
Easier of the two.
Sam. Like, this isn't Sam's fault. So I like everything I say after this, I don't want it to be like I love Sam or like I'm blaming Sam for it. But Sam was also a factor in what Dean became. Sam was a child, so it's not like he knew to do anything about it, but he certainly helped it happen.
Yeah.
But I also think that Sam, more so than Dean, probably because John treated him as civilian, protect your brother type situation, that he could see this role structure that
it frustrated
John was
him.
making. Yes. It frustrated him that Dean was playing into it.
Absolutely.
Because I know that Sam saw that Dean could be much more, and he didn't understand why Dean wasn't fighting it. And that's a whole other conversation about Dean and his Gryffindor responsibility. But
it was hammered into him, and because things like that were not hammered into Sam, it's hard for you objectively to look at. And
John tried, but Sam was like,
but he
doesn't make sense.
He
bro.
tried,
like,
but in a totally different way.
Yeah.
Like they were not given the same roles, obviously. So Sam's was easier to free think, whereas
I
Dean
think it was
like,
also easier for Sam to fight it because Dean, like, John gave Dean things to do as opposed to telling Sam not to do things.
True,
right?
yeah.
So I think it was easier for Sam to fight, like, I want to do things, as opposed to Dean being like, I don't like doing the things that you've told me are super important for me to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so, I also want to reiterate, it's not Sam's fault either. Like,
he was a baby, guys. He was 6 months old when his dad started doing this to them.
You can talk about adult Sam all you want, like, if you don't agree with certain things adult Sam or Dean did. But the reasons they are the way they are and the way that they clash with their father and with each other, it's entirely because of how John raised them. And it changed this. It's true of fucking any parent that's raising a child. Okay. What you do when they are up to a certain age of development, it changes the trajectory of their entire lives, how they see themselves, how they view other people. And Sam and Dean are very similar, but also very different. That has everything to do with the structure and the role that their father put them in. And the roles are so important because of his house, because it's how John sees everything, how everything should go. And I think he struggles with that in the show, in the Winchesters, like, where do I fit? And like, what do I need to be doing here? And like, this is where I belong. He says stuff like that quite a bit.
Well, when he comes back from the war, he doesn't know that he's not going home until Dean hands him that letter. Like, he doesn't know what he's going to do next. He just left Vietnam.
Yeah. And
you no idea where to go.
That's a huge problem for like a Hufflepuff, because you put that in, like, I'll just say right now, when we get to Mary, they're not the same house. When Mary's
I was going to say too, I'm really excited because I think we're going to get to talk more about Dean, because
Definitely.
I don't think Dean's view of John really doesn't shatter as much as it should until he comes head to head with Mary, which is pretty. Yeah.
So they're not the same house, and you actually see the difference in Mary when Mary's going to go off. She's like, I don't know what's out there for me. I'm going to figure it out. Like, John's dejected in that. He's like, give me a job. Like, I need to be doing something.
I need to have something to do. What do I do when you're gone? What do I do when you're gone?
Work is how I cope, please.
She's like, I don't know, keep hunting. He's like, but if you come back and you're not hunting, and I need you.
Yeah.
We both have to hunt. We both have to be together. Like, we can't separate.
He's so codependent, man. And he instilled that into his sons. You can only trust the family.
And God hope that he keeps that therapy. He does. Okay, so we can talk about, oh God, Mary is such a focal point for John, for all of the, and so I'm led to believe in any universe, even though Supernatural tells us that that they're fated and like a Cupid shot them and made them fall in love, and that they didn't really like each other beforehand. This show didn't really show that. Well, I guess they had kind of like a.
It was a little bit. I don't think
they had a little bit of back and forth, but it was. It's like, I don't care.
But why does it matter? Even on Supernatural, like, they didn't like each other at first. They hated each other. Okay, you ever heard of enemies to lovers?
The whole like argument is that like a Cupid made them fall in love because heaven needed them to have Dean and Sam because they were the true vessels of Michael and Lucifer. So it was like years and years of like heaven breeding in order to make that happen. So like they wouldn't have really loved each other. But I am gonna push back on that a little bit. This is such like I don't understand Supernatural, like how, like this is such an existential thing, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like, would they have been in love if the Cupid hadn't shot them? But no, we don't know. But either way, I am led to believe in literally any universe that Mary is such a focal point for who John is. Like and this is what Rachel and I were talking about when we were trying to like. So obviously, John's community, he's military, and then when he's older, it's his family. It's Dean and Sam and Mary. And in the Winchesters, he meets Carlos and Lata and Ada. So it's like that little Scooby gang that is his community. He's very good at analyzing exactly what, like, this is the roles thing, right? He sees everybody's role and he goes, I fit here. And he's very good at fitting there and then like making sure everybody else fulfills what they do. Like they all work as a well-oiled machine. He's very good at that, even though he does abuse his sons to make it happen. It's a much healthier dynamic in the Winchesters with Carlos and Lata and Mary. So like he's very good at that. Like you got to give him props for that. But he is a role-based Hufflepuff. He's not like a community at large, like everybody can choose what they do, and he's very like, you do what you do, and that's how the cogs keep turning. And he has put Mary in this role of being his, like, I don't even know
it's not
what
lieutenant.
You would call it. It's not. She's his partner, equal. But not just partner. She's like his she's his center. She's like his calming.
Well, it's what he returns to. It's what makes the most sense to him. It's like what everything else gravitates around.
Like his center. She's like his bounce back. He like Mary is just, he has put her in this role as like, you are all of it.
Well, this is a big Hufflepuff thing too with when they fall in love. Like, look at how Cass is with Dean. Like, it's all fucking encompassing, especially I would think it's more so with these soldier types. Because
because you find somebody that you don't want to boss around necessarily. Or like,
or even take orders from. Like, they don't fit in a militant way.
They're like, they're like outside. They're just like I, in the fucking Dean and Cass episode, this is specific to Cass, but find the equivalent to John. Dean is like a religion to Cass. Yeah. Like he is his new religion. Yeah. And that's like the Mary equivalent to John.
Because they live so differently, like their counterparts. Excuse me. So Dean's to Cass, what Mary is to John, they live in a completely different way and make choices in ways that like the Hufflepuff would not. And it's so they treat it with this reverency, like, oh, wow, you're so special. And then they become the most special thing.
And it's like, and and so when we were watching the Winchesters live, we didn't know that this was an alternate universe that was revealed to us in the finale. So we were watching it assuming that this John will eventually be JDM John, which hopefully now he won't because Dean has made that intervention. But we were watching it with that assumption. And in like the 5th episode of this 13th run season, John meets Mary in the pilot. So they've known each other 5 episodes. Let's say that's like a month, maybe a month and a half. He's already telling her, like, if you die, I don't know what I'll be. I won't be John. Like, I just won't be.
Girl, I just met.
Right. No, seriously. So and you're like, and so we're watching that thinking like, oh no, this John's going to be grown up John one day. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like we saw how that worked out. But we were like, but this John has this support system of Lata and Carlos. So like maybe it'll be a little bit better for him.
Yeah.
And I hope that the Winchesters continues and that we see, because like we said earlier, like the Winchesters like main message for John Winchester was like get therapy. So so I don't think that Mary's role will ever change for him. Just hopefully it'll be more healthy. But we saw what happens to a John Winchester who doesn't get any help for his PTSD, who doesn't talk to anybody about his anger, who doesn't find a support system outside of, and we heard that was a strain on their marriage.
Yes.
Like we heard it from Mary and we heard it from John that he was putting this all on Mary and it was not good for them. So, and Mary dies and John fucking loses himself.
Just consider like
he completely loses himself. He's not a father anymore when Mary dies.
Absolutely.
He's
in the original Supernatural. You have to refresh my memory. Do him and Mary ever hunt together in this capacity? They don't really, right?
No.
Okay.
He doesn't know. He doesn't learn that Mary was a hunter till after she's dead.
So then, for me, when I think of John and how he puts people into roles, if he felt this in love with this woman and he's fitting her into a role, then it probably was housewife, mother. And it probably was so intense for him. Like that's
I would agree with that because of how Dean remembers her. And I don't think that John didn't influence that.
It's not accurate to who Mary is at her core. She's not just like a happy Susie homemaker. She's just there's nothing wrong with it if you are, but she's not that. And it's the way he remembers her, always baking in the apron with the perfect pinned up curls. And it's not what Mary ever wanted, but it's absolutely what that John wanted of her. And you can see how that put a strain on everything. And then when that piece of his puzzle is gone, there's no one there to fill that role. That's when a child gets parentified. And it doesn't go to like, he doesn't make Dean like his surrogate wife, because that happens in unhealthy relationships. It's called emotional incest. It's a thing. That doesn't happen here. But there's still parentification. There's still absolutely where it's like...
No, John disappears as a family member from Dean and Sam's life.
Yeah, completely.
Like we said, he's a commanding officer.
Yeah, and Bobby reiterates his little unit
of soldiers.
Where Bobby's like, he was straight up not a good dad. I tried to get through to him. I couldn't get through. Like, so I helped raise you and I instilled the important things in you that I thought you needed to know.
Bobby was their dad. Yeah. And I'll cry if I think about his episode again.
Because this John, even like, okay, so Supernatural John is out there like still trying to fulfill roles in ways that make sense, even at the cost of his own sons. He's got another son out there that he's taking to baseball games.
Sam calls them and tells him Dean's dying and he does not come back.
Right.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Like he's like his thing is like, I'm going to kill the yellow-eyed demon.
Yeah.
Like that's...
And he also expects everything to fall into place and back into the roles when he does show up. So you can see why he doesn't show up, because he doesn't expect there to be any deviation from what he's set and left behind him. It's like, well, when I show back up, I'm Sir, I'm Dad, we're all here, we're joking, having a good time, and then we're going to go do our hunt and whatever. And if you bitch and complain, that's not how I raised you.
You can see Sam fighting that too. He's like, why are you following? Like, Dad's not even here. Why are you? Yeah. Or like when Dean shows up and Sam's like, what do you mean you weren't with Dad? And Dean's like, he's letting me go on hunts on my own. Like, and Sam's like, wow.
Yeah.
John
he sets it up great for a personality like Dean, who he's traumatized into that role. Doesn't work so well on Sam. Sam's broken out of the mold a little bit. And it's not anything that John is prepared for. He doesn't expect any of them to break the mold in anyway. And you see when Dean has to do it, when he even has to do a little pushback, he gets tears in his eyes immediately. He's so upset and ashamed that he has to do that to his dad because he understands the way his dad views them and their family unit. And he doesn't want to rock the boat and he doesn't want to hurt his dad.
That's the problem. Again, that's the problem. This isn't John's family, but this is very much Dean's family.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how he's viewing it.
Yeah.
And John just isn't. Yeah, but no. Yeah. So I don't know. Winchester's John.
He's different. So he's different because he has this positivity around him.
Yeah. He has
the support. That's key.
And he's got Millie. I don't know. I guess maybe. I don't know if if Supernatural John never went back to his mom.
Probably not. He probably didn't. He probably went off and did what a good old boy was supposed to do back then, and just like
he met Mary the same year. So I just
send
maybe
mom a
he just
postcard.
never. Because I was gonna say because his mom was mad at him because he went off to the war without So if he hadn't gotten that letter and been like, I should go back home because he was looking for his dad, and the letter was from his dad. Yeah.
His whole view of parents, children, everything is so skewed and fucked. And then he goes to war and
Henry's
gets so
fault.
fucked.
So, what?
Yeah, okay, the sins of the father, right? Like this is just an ongoing problem. And for the first time in the Winchesters, you're getting to see that be broken. It's really I really appreciate it. And I can tell that Robbie and Jensen, everybody put so much thought into how to tackle this and how to make it so it's like you're not absolved of what what you're capable of doing. Like this is just, if you had the help that you needed, this is an alternate path. And it's like, if you were,
and they're pretty clear too, like John has to want the help.
Absolutely.
Like it's not just like, oh, nobody offered John any help. It's like John actually needs to look for that help.
Yeah, they make him work for it and they make him earn it. And I think he is doing a good job of earning it because you can see how hard he struggles with the anger and with everything. And so this world's John has opportunities, I guess, that the Supernatural one didn't, or just didn't seek out.
And this Winchester's John gets to murder monsters at the drop of the hat.
Yeah, and they also got him earlier, right? You're getting a war-torn, much older John that is probably not a very happy guy already. It's probably not.
Well, yeah, he probably came back from the war and never went to visit his mom again and started drinking like hell.
Yeah, and he's old, much older than John we're getting in the Winchesters. You're getting him at a point where it's totally possible.
He's a decade.
To be, but it's totally possible to become a different person in 10 years. And it makes a huge difference. And I think these 10 years or however many years the Winchesters goes on, I hope it goes on for 20. It's a very fucking important time. And
I would really love to see this John with young Sam. I don't I think it should stop at the point of but
it would be so nice to see that.
I don't want a new Sam and Dean, but to see them be parents to infants who have no personality yet.
Well, I always really liked the episodes of Supernatural that were Jin dreams. I liked seeing Dean to mow the lawn and Sam got to bring his girl back home to mom.
I'm just selfish and I don't want a different Dean Winchester. No, I want my Dean Winchester.
I don't think it could be. I don't know. On Stranger Things, when they have to do flashbacks, they CGI onto little kids. They CGI faces onto little kids and make them small, and because they don't want to get a different actor. And it looks really cool and interesting. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm saying I think the Winchesters, if it's allowed to go on for as long as it goes on, should go up to the point that Supernatural starts, and that should be
should definitely be.
But it should be
that's Jensen's
that isn't going to happen. That isn't going to happen. We fixed this universe, but because that was Dean's whole thing, right? I was trying to find a universe where my family.
At the end of the day, Dean's just trying to give himself a happy ending.
Anyway, we told Hannah this would be an hour and a half episode, and it's we're 50 minutes.
Okay, so then let's move on to Mary.
Mary, yeah.
Yeah, so Mary, not a Hufflepuff. Not a Hufflepuff. She doesn't do any of the things that John does, really. She doesn't look at anything the same way. They view things very differently. And I'm sure that's true.
Does not see people in roles.
Yes. She's not putting you in a box.
Not roles. Nope, not at all. She's do whatever the fuck you want,
and in
fact,
supposed
to do.
It's incredibly important.
She trusts people to do their own thing.
Because it's incredibly important to Mary, also because of her house, to not be put in a box. And to not be controlled in any capacity. And so you see that in older Mary, too. When I say older Mary, I mean Supernatural Mary, not Winchester's Mary. When she comes back, when Amara brings her back, it's this whole thing.
She's like, I'm not your mom to these 30-year-old men.
Because they're not her babies, so it's difficult, obviously.
I know. I was so mad at her for it's unfair that I'm mad at her.
It's unfair for everyone.
Obviously, I am biased to Dean Winchester.
I think you're
so she's hurting his feelings, and I'm upset about it.
I think you're allowed to feel sorry for Mary and to be mad at Mary at the same time. The same way you're allowed to feel sorry for Dean, but also be like, Dean, get some perspective, look at it differently. It's a very easy thing to see both sides of. So I don't think any feelings to that are invalid unless you're like, fuck that bitch, which none of us are doing here. And would never, because we really like Mary.
I understand. I'm pretending like I wouldn't come back. I wouldn't wake up a day after my children were 6 months old and the 30-year-old standing in front of me like I'm your son, and I would be totally fine with it. I wouldn't.
Yeah, it would be so hard. It would be so hard.
Yeah, I would not be okay.
No, you wouldn't be okay. And maybe you wouldn't handle it exactly how Mary handled it, but there's reasons for why she did. She's very confused.
So Mary's a Gryffindor.
Yeah, totally.
And she was immediately avoidant of that situation.
Yeah.
She was like, just not going to think about it.
I gotta get the fuck away from this.
I'll
this
address these men as Dean and Sam because they've asked me to, but these aren't my children, Dean and Sam.
And the shorter one is looking at me with these big eyes, like, mommy, and I'm like, who are you?
I can't be that. What? Yeah, no. Yeah, and it's like I said earlier, this was so earth-shattering for Dean because Dean, partly because of John, has this skewed view of Mary being like this. She made me pie and she cut the crust off my PB&J and she was very
warm,
really loving.
Mm-hmm.
And not that Mary wasn't, but Mary's a badass hunter in her own right. She's take no shit from anybody. And so she comes back and Dean is expecting my mom, and she's like, I'm not your mom.
He's also only got 4 years of memory with her, and what's feasible of remembering of that is probably 1 day in a kitchen. You don't remember anything from when you're 4. You remember a day or a party, maybe.
Right.
So he's remembering a part of her.
This is all romanticized shit on his part.
Yeah. Right? So you remember a part of,
especially because John was out there being like, your mother and I were so in love that I'm trying to kill this demon because I loved her so much, when really it's John, that's not honey.
Yeah. Oh, John. Yeah. But so he's remembering a piece of who she was. So it's not to say that because she's this badass hunter that she also couldn't be warm and loving. She's all of it. And I'm sure she was amazing with the kids because he has that beautiful memory of her being
but
that
it's
really
she never
sweet.
baked a pie in her life. She bought that pie.
For sure. Exactly.
So broken about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and as a kid, you don't care. You just remember the feeling.
There's this beautiful, beautiful moving scene that if you ever doubt Jensen Ackles' acting ability, you should go watch, where it's he has to go into Mary's mind to wake her up. She's been brainwashed or whatever. And so he goes in there and he just does this whole monologue about how he was never allowed to be a child.
Yeah.
Because of what she and John did to him.
Yeah.
And it's just incredibly moving. And it's like I said, it's really there have been bits and pieces of Dean breaking through and being like, yeah, Dad was shitty, and then kind of quickly moving on. I don't want to examine that because again, Dean's also a Gryffindor who's I don't want to look at that. Yeah, it'll make me feel things if I look at it.
Yeah.
But it's really the first time that he allows himself to be like, you and Dad fucked up my life.
Yeah, you made me
really
be a mom. You made me be a dad.
Yeah.
You didn't let me be a kid.
Yeah. And he tells Mary all that, and that's what gets through to Mary.
He says, "I love you and I hate you."
Yeah,
it's major.
He's like, yeah.
Which is completely valid because she, like John, made decisions that led to the point that they are at. And
when he kicks her, out of the bunker, when she's like, "I'm working with the Men of Letters, the British Men of Letters," he's like, "You walk out that door, you don't ever come back." Yeah. They're hurting each other because they both understand each other real well.
Oh, yeah.
They know exactly.
Yep.
And I think Mary's a little scared of that too. That she's like, this kid is so much
that she recognizes it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause Mary and the Winchesters, her whole thing is I'm done hunting. I want to get out hunting.
Right.
I want to get out hunting. And that was Dean for the longest time before he kind of reconciled himself. Both of them come to the same reconciliation, right? That you can leave hunting technically, but you can never leave the feeling that you should be saving people knowing what's out there.
Yeah.
And that's why people like you are, that's why people like you are never going to, Sam could and did, according to the finale.
Yeah, and purgatory.
people like Dean and Mary are not gonna get out.
No,
like,
it keeps
they
you up
have
at night.
this lingering. Yeah. So yeah, Mary. So yeah. I mean, I love that. I love that the Winchesters gave us young Mary just because it was so hard to completely love older Mary because of that.
It was hard to put the pieces together. You've got pieces that Dean's showing you that you know are skewed. You've got pieces of like just weird
what
flashbacks of what John did, or like when she was a teenager, or like the angels manipulating.
Or when she was a ghost. And she was a ghost.
Exactly. Where they manipulate Dean's version of her. Like, it's a lot that you can't put together. And when we got Mary in season,
Lilith,
what was it, 13?
Pretending to be her.
When we got her in 12, it was like a shock. You were like, oh shit, she really wasn't exactly that. Like, you're trying to put it together in your head. And while you can still like her and respect her as a character,
We're just like Dean, where we're like, oh, that's not Mary. Like, this is Mary.
You didn't get her yet. So what the Winchesters did was, it was like, well, here's her as a whole fucking person. And here's exactly how she thinks and acts. And it's, oh my God, she's so great. She's such a good character.
I love her. She is. She's so dedicated, like, to her dad, even though she's like, I don't want to hunt anymore.
Yep.
Her parents are like fucking weird. They're like separated and they don't give a shit about her. Like,
this
John
Samuel is more likable than the other Samuel.
John, when Samuel first comes back, and this was they threw stuff in like this all the time that you were like, John, listen to yourself. Where Sam comes back and John's like, she's been staying up all night, like every night, worried about you. Maybe you could treat her more like a daughter than like a soldier.
Yeah, okay,
I was like,
John. Yep,
this is healthy, John. This is healthy, John.
Dude, I like straight up, I paused for a second. And I was like, y'all really? Okay, play, let's go.
Yeah, but yeah, she's Dean. She's Dean.
She's so Dean. When like, for example, when they have her dad and she doesn't know where he is and she's like tracking him with Carlos. Yeah. She is straight up just beating the shit out of herself mentally. She's like, it's my fault.
Yeah.
I should have been there. I should have done this. I should have done that. And then Carlos comes in and is like, you sound dumb. Like, I love you, but you sound dumb. This isn't your fault. And it gets through to her, but you can still see that she carries the weight of the responsibility. Like, if I go, or if I'm not in the right place at the right time, then whatever happens to any of you is going to be my fault. So you can see, like, it's very Gryffindor to want to be like, well, then I just need to, like, probably get the fuck out of here so I don't feel like this anymore. Like, so then I have to cut everyone out. And then when I feel better, I can come back and it'll be fine. I totally understood her. She
handles John's problems in a very, like, Gryffindor
she does.
way when she's like, John is so angry, and she's like, it's okay to be angry, but he won't talk to me.
Right.
Like, that's the problem. That episode where the Akrita got into her head and she had to like confront young Mary or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she like, so like her whole issue was like, any possible future that I had got taken from me when my parents told me that I was going to have to hunt monsters.
Right.
And like the whole revelation was like, no, you can still like do whatever you want to do. Like your whole, like you can make choices still. It was like a whole free will kind of thing that Dean was having issues with. Really was. And the whole like responsive, like, no, I can't do anything that I want because this responsibility was revealed to me and now I'm responsible solely for it. And like, Mary, you're not though. Like, you're not.
Yeah, but I just like get her. Like, she's not, but she is. Like, I get it. Like,
I know.
And it's so
you do.
It's so interesting when you compare her to Dean. Like, if Cass or Dean give if Cass or Sam give Dean the silent treatment, like, he'll go fucking bananas. Like, he can't handle that. You can't do that to him. So you can't do this. So it's the same thing with John and Mary. Like, if he goes quiet mode, like, that's really
he
bugging
won't
her.
tell her his emotions. Yeah.
Ooh, you can't do that.
Or he's just like, when he's like, I just want to eat this sandwich. Talk about the sandwich. She's like, no, man.
Yeah.
Like,
no, we have to
clearly
discuss
mad.
this.
Yeah, you're clearly mad.
Yeah, but then meanwhile, like, a Gryffindor would turn around and be like, I don't want to fucking talk about this right now. Like, let's just go to get a beer. Like,
it's not the time. Yeah.
This is not the time. When's the time? Whenever I say.
Talk about it when I say.
Whenever the part of my brain that says it's okay says it's okay. Like, a mess. But she is actually, like, really, I don't know if I would use words like well-adjusted. She's more like
more so than like super broken Griffin. Like, she's not Elle Woods level healthy, but she is like she's not like Edward Cullen level.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Either. She's like Emma, very like Emma. Reminded me a lot of Emma from Once Upon a Time.
Emma's right next to Dean on the scale, so
I know. I got a lot of Emma Swan vibes from her though. A lot of the like
very competent in what she decides to do.
Yeah.
Very like natural born leader. Like she meets John and fights that demon and then immediately pulls Carlos and Lata together and was like, here's our crew.
Yeah.
So,
and you can see what it would do. Like when, it's maybe like episode 7 where she's like, okay, we do this and then we're done. Carlos is like, okay, and that means you're gone. So like, excuse me for not wanting to celebrate or whatever.
Right.
You see what it would do to the group if you remove Mary from it. Like, in a way,
they all love her.
In a way that where it's like she's running away. So like instead with the finale, what they did was she took John with her. And I think that made everyone feel better about the loss because they're all in a better place in general than they were mid-season.
And I think to them, it felt less like Mary maybe like separating from them and more like Mary and John are going to figure out and then come back to us and we're all going to be together. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, those two need to figure out.
Yes. And they need them to figure because his mom had a Hufflepuff partner that was shitty.
Oh.
But
you were like, they're doing it right. They're doing it right.
Yeah. So it's like the intensity of the love is the same, but it's what you do with it.
Right.
Like, obviously, if you're going to be a fucking dick about it, then it's going to be really unhealthy. But Cass's love is so... Anyway, let's talk about Destiel. Let's talk about Dean and Cass.
I mean, you can't say like the juxt. Well, I mean, I guess it's a little different too because in John's case, he's the Hufflepuff and the Gryffindor disappears, so like his focal point, as opposed to like we see Dean when Cass disappears.
Yeah,
because did we say it on air? No, we didn't. It was before we started recording that Rachel was like, I don't know if another Hufflepuff like treats a person like that, and I was like, well, Cass does with Dean. And she was like, does he? And I was like, we never really got to see Cass truly believe that Dean was dead because Cass was just always like, well, I'll go get him. I'll bring him back. Like, no,
I know by nature of what Cass is, it's like it's never over.
Right.
You see him cry when Metatron.
Like, when Metatron says, I killed Dean. And then, but then he's like, but NBD, I'll just go get him.
When all Cass did was lay naked in a bed and cry.
I know. So like, we can't truly get the sense of like, you know, I guess the biggest sense of it would be when Dean told him to leave when he was a human.
Yeah, because it's like removing yourself from his universe.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No. And like he can't do anything to get Dean back. Right. So like.
But he's mad at Dean a little.
No, he is. But you see, but he's also like broken as hell about it.
Yeah.
So like, no. No. I like what you're saying though. Like they're like, it's what you do with that intensity of the love. And I mean, I like to think that Dean took his father's example and stayed the hell away from it.
Yeah,
like
totally.
we see Dean grieving Cass, and it's not. I wouldn't say healthy because the man
angry.
offers himself up as like a sacrifice to die instead.
Right.
But
it's not what his dad does.
It's okay. It's selfless as opposed to selfish.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because he is like, bring Cass back. I don't even need to be here. Like, bring Cass back because I love Cass. As opposed to like,
that's not
as
John.
Opposed to John being like, you took her from me. You know, like I gotta kill the yellow-eyed demon.
It's actual love versus viewing someone like property. And I think that's how John of Supernatural, the PTSD-ridden one,
I don't know.
Looks at. No, I do. I think he looks at his family like property. I think he looks at his wife like property.
I don't know that I would say like property, but I get what you're getting at. Like, not like property, but
he's
like
in an ownership role.
Well, like owner, like this is a thing that I have that I hold up, and this is what it is. Yeah,
it's mine. It's like very territorial.
Because I wouldn't go so far as to say that John treated Mary without like agency or anything like that.
No, I don't think that at all. I don't think he was outward about it. I don't think it showed until he lost her. And then it's very obvious to like the reading of it to me, it was like, okay, he owns all these little pieces. He wants them to move a certain way and go into the boxes that he wants them to go into. So on the surface, you can say like, he's just trying to make them fit roles and fit into places where he's comfortable. But to me, it reads like, it just reads like, okay, but you don't own them, man. Like, relax. So I think for me, it approaches property and ownership. Maybe it's not fully there because no, he does not control.
He was like,
Mary.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. I don't know what I'm chafing. I think it approaches it.
It's like, it's just like, he's like the human man with all the little like green soldier pieces that he's moving around with a stick. Like, that's how I picture John in my head.
Yeah, I'm just saying it approaches at a certain point. Again, like depending on what you do with that feeling, it can go into, these are mine. Right. And like you can be a crazy angry kid and get angry and like throw your toys and shit. Or you could be like, okay, what am I going to do now with this? I still have 2 little soldiers that are dependent on me. Like,
maybe I should stop calling them soldiers is the first step.
Maybe I should. Maybe they don't need to call me sir. I don't know. Ugh. Sad. I really like this show because I really like seeing what it would have been like.
Yeah. I liked what you said earlier too, that it's like, okay, they're not like be a John apologist, but they're like understand more about John and like make your own decisions on how much you want to, because it's leeway.
Not all black and white as supernatural John Winchester would want you to believe.
Right. Exactly.
Do you want to think like John? Like old John?
You know how long it took Dean to train himself out of that? 26 years and at least 3 seasons of Supernatural, guys.
Oh boy, I think it was more to really
yeah, but he started getting it in 3. Yeah. No. God,
yeah, he did.
The fucking fact that Dean realized his dad was possessed because he said, "Good job, son." Like, I can't.
Oh, it hurts. You don't like that, bro.
I can't. It's so...
Yeah. That's sad.
I think what the Winchesters did too is like, because Dean is our guy in Supernatural, you're coming at it from the point of view of like, fuck John. Like, how the fuck did he do that? But the Winchesters was like, how did this kid make it to the point where he could never tell his son good job?
Yeah.
And that makes
how
you
the
be
hell
like,
do you get there?
Yeah. And that makes you be like, oh, this is sad. Like,
it's so depressing. So yeah, I really appreciate the show for this alternate view because it's true of anyone. Like, we all fuck up and make mistakes, and you can look back on major moments in your life and be like, what if I went left instead of going right? Like, what if I just did that
fucking
one
Doctor
thing?
Who.
Exactly. And I like that they're exploring this in a way that, like what we were saying before, it doesn't absolve him of shit.
No.
It's just another
Not
road.
John Winchester apologist here.
No, God. Ugh. John Winchester's A+ parenting.
But Drake did an amazing job. And
Drake's fucking fantastic.
I would consider hearing his John out. And also getting him therapy.
Because it's a different...
Right.
Again,
it's like
it's a crucial point in his development as a person, as a human being. It's a different perspective. He's got support. He's got love around him. His mother's there.
In a different environment. Putting the same Hufflepuff in a different environment and seeing how that affects them. So
right.
That's what we mean when we're like, anybody has the capacity to be like an evil dick. Like, you know?
Let's see if I can make this point sound good. When they put
possible erasure coming, Hannah.
I don't know. When they put Cass as Emmanuel, you got to see what he might have been like had he been this dude, a prophet, like weird little prophet man, whatever. Yeah. What he would have done with those powers, what he would have done on that path. He would have been a man who's married to this lady because he feels indebted to her and he's helping people in that way, right? When Dean finds him, there's not, just because he's meeting this other version of Cass doesn't mean old Cass is absolved of anything.
Right.
He's still really fucking pissed at that Cass. But he's still gotta take a look at this one and be like, all right, this also exists within you.
Right.
I'm hearing it out. And so I don't know, my brain hopped there for a second because I was like, okay, we do a lot of AU shit. Yeah. The show does a lot of AU shit.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to enjoy this iteration of John. I'm okay with it. I like this John.
Yeah, I do too.
I do. I don't like old John. But I like this one.
I mean, it's if you gave John a chance, right? I think we as a fandom are especially in agreement now that the John that we see in Supernatural was not given a chance.
Yeah. And I think it's
not just not given, like, again, I don't want to pin this all on like nobody reached out to him. Like, John didn't reach out to anybody else, right?
But
like, he met Mary and put it all on her shoulders. So
that's the thing. So as viewers, it's not like we're giving John a chance. It's you're watching John give himself one.
Yeah.
And you're responding to that.
Yeah.
It's completely okay to respond to that positively, especially when you have a great actor.
And also like John has been put in an environment where he wants to give himself a chance. We have to assume again that John came back and did not go back to his mother and immediately fell into drinking in order to cope with his PTSD.
Yeah. You have to assume that.
Yeah. And
it doesn't make sense otherwise with what they're showing us now.
And it makes sense to me that John wouldn't try to give himself the opportunity to have a chance. Like, why would he?
I agree.
Yeah. He found Mary and he was like, this is a Band-Aid and it will hold forever.
Yep.
And it was like,
and it's a Band-Aid that Heaven shoved at him and didn't let him organically decide on his own either.
Yeah.
So that also sets you up for failure in other ways too. If this is the John and Mary that if they were allowed to meet at a time where it worked and John was open, it would be really good. So it's interesting to watch.
I think they met, they met in the same way.
Yeah, but
the difference,
they didn't have the core group, and his mom probably, I think we can say, was not involved.
Yeah, they met. Yeah,
so it's a little different.
Yeah. And also, the Winchesters, John was in the mindset of like his dad because of the letter or whatever.
Yes.
So he still had like purpose, I guess I would.
Well, Dean sure pushed the dominoes in the right way.
Yeah, he was like, I just gave the letter a little push. Like it was meant for him. Like I just gave it a little earlier. All that Gryffindor reasoning. Dean. Anyway. All right. We really want to.
I didn't do anything.
Jack, leave me alone. You're my son. Why the fuck are you yelling at me?
It's just thinking
just because you're
Nick
God.
Miller when fucking Jess gets mad. I didn't do it. Why are you yelling at me?
I've rationalized all this in my head. I have all the arguments. I'll list them out.
I don't feel like telling you them.
And most of all,
shut up.
I don't care what you do to me. So there.
Yeah, you can't win, bitch. All right, so we gotta move on. Let's talk about Lata because Lata was like, for me and Lauren both, like really clearly her house in a really different way than the other person who shares the house with.
Not this.
Love these. The last time we did this, it was David and Joe on Mythic Quest. So Lata's a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
They were both Hufflepuffs, completely different Hufflepuffs.
Yes.
So that's what we're working with here. Lata's definitely a Hufflepuff. All right.
Yeah. And that I really loved, like you said, it like every pairing worked. I loved how they did this where John was like, how do you manage like your emotions?
Yes.
Like we got to calm ourselves.
I really
man.
like that.
I was like, aw, this little
She's
Hufflepuff
his,
bonding
what do they
session.
call it? Like mediator? I don't remember.
A mediator is a person who like helps fights.
Yeah, Carlos said something in one of the episodes.
Oh.
I just watched a bunch today. Where he said something about her role in respect to him and how she does her breathing with him.
Yeah. I don't remember.
I don't remember the word he uses, but that is what she provides.
Lata is not a role-based Hufflepuff. She is a community Hufflepuff. Community at large.
Yes, she is. She really is. So she's got the traits of a Hufflepuff where when you are interested in something, you master it, and it becomes like following the rules is kind of a religious thing to you. So, oh yeah. So she, she's a pacifist. She doesn't want to fight. She doesn't want to kill. She doesn't want to harm. And her reasons for that are revealed throughout the season towards the end.
Because her emotions are too strong.
Yeah.
She recognizes that.
She does. So she doesn't want to hurt anybody. So instead she learns where she can to be useful where she can. And this is the key thing.
In the ways that she can. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like a key thing with Hufflepuffs though. Like, oh man, if you see a character, listen to me right now. If you see a character that's like really concerned with where they fit and if they're being useful, that's like a real good marker for a Hufflepuff.
Indicator. Yeah.
Really, really big one. So she beat herself up pretty fucking bad over, it was her like, I don't know if she was a housekeeper or a like live-in nanny.
Like a maid. She calls her a maid,
right,
I think.
Like, but she like really raised her. She really raised Lata in her youth. Like,
did she say she raised her? Or were they like
yeah,
buddies?
they were very close. They were very.
I know they were close.
I
thought she like had befriended her.
Oh, I don't know. I interpreted it as like
they were
she
like
took care
age.
of her.
Oh, okay.
Well, either way, yeah. I don't remember now.
I don't know
what
either.
She describes it as, but it was an important relationship, and they were very close. And they get caught. What was it like? Eating a snack.
Her dad. Supposed to be. So her dad fought.
Came back from war.
Yeah, her dad fought in the war that their country was in, and came back really angry about, like, obviously PTSD is a running theme here. Came back really angry about it. So he had a bunch of people over for dinner, and they had a bunch of food, and they had like a plate of dessert that she didn't think anybody would miss. So she like took it back to the servants' quarters to share it with her friend who worked for them. And yeah, their dad caught them and was like, and blamed it on the maid. It's like, you took food. That is our food.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So and what ends up happening is Lata after this is very like, okay, I can't, like, I don't agree with this at all. I don't think this way. I don't want this around me. Like, you've changed. I'm done. And she leaves. And I believe they blame, or the father blames that woman, so Lata's friend, for her leaving.
No, she leaves. And she leaves after she dies.
I thought it was, I thought the reason that he put her in that room is because Lata left.
I didn't think so. Maybe I didn't listen closely.
Okay, listen, either way, whatever the reasoning is, this woman ends up
freezing to death,
put in a room where she freezes to death. Yeah, and he does that, I mean, I'd say deliberately. He's like blaming her for whatever the injustice was.
Yeah,
he really didn't. So she carries that guilt with her. And so a Gryffindor would carry that guilt around, and it would like eat away at them in ways that you would see physically. She's really internalized it. And I think Hufflepuffs are really good at that. Like, you don't see it on them, or like you don't see them acting out about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're not the ones pounding back the fucking beers at the bar, like crying.
No, she like went through it and processed it and like decided not to tell anybody.
Exactly. So the way she processes that was very Hufflepuff to me. And then me and Lauren were talking before about she needs to admit it, like admit her secret. This is her big, deep, dark secret that this happened in her life. And she needs to admit that to save Carlos from like this evil bracelet, or like, I don't remember. It's a lot.
It's a bracelet.
There's a lot of things going on.
It's a bracelet that like reveals people's like true intentions or whatever.
She has to,
because they're trying to make the police officer believe in the supernatural. So they're like, if we put the bracelet on her, she'll be able to see the Akrita. But the bracelet's like little catch is that if you have a deep, dark secret that you're hiding from people, you have to reveal it, or you'll die.
Or you'll die. And in this case, it was or Carlos will die.
Or Carlos will die.
And she really, we have to admit, she really struggles with that. We didn't talk about
Maggie at all with Mary.
No, we didn't.
Real quick, Maggie is Mary's cousin, and they were like besties. They're close in age or whatever. And Maggie died in a hunt, and Mary totally takes that on.
Yeah.
It's all on her. It's not on her.
It's all my fault
grown-up
somehow.
dad who was also on the hunt, or, you know.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyway. Nope. Yeah. But
it's relevant because this is because Lata and Maggie were very close.
Yeah.
So they're like, you have to admit this deep, dark secret or Carlos is going to straight up die. And she's like, I can't. I really can't. And you see her physically like
it's that little bit of almost Slytherin overlap when it's like perception, people's perception of you. Because for Slytherins, it's like, how do I manipulate you if you don't see me the way I need you to see me? For Hufflepuffs, it's like, but you're going to start questioning my role if you see something in me that doesn't fit that role.
Oh, God forbid.
So, yeah. So she's like, I can't tell from Lata's perception, she caused this woman to be dead. That's not true at all.
Right. It's not her fault.
It's, as a Slytherin, I could not relate to this in the slightest. But she was like, you know, she took it on as something that she could have changed or done something about. So she's like, I can't tell anybody else about this because then their perception of me as a pacifist, as someone who sticks up for like the little people, who does the right, just thing, will be changed. Which Carlos afterwards is like, that's dumb. No, it won't
Girl,
be.
What are you talking about? Literally, like, what are you talking about? He's like, then we'd be dicks. What do you mean? How do you see me? What do you mean? Like, he's very sweet about it. He gives a lot of really great advice.
He really does.
Over the season, because people are struggling emotionally, and like, he's like, yeah, been there. Here's what you do. So it's like, thank God that it was Carlos and her in that situation, because I think he said what she really needed to hear. She needed to hear, you're not going to be judged for this. And it's just very funny because Hufflepuffs are the judgiest ones. So of course, they were going to fear the judgment turning back on them. And, you know, she's like a very good person who doesn't need to worry about this at all. Like, she didn't do anything wrong. Blame your dad.
Right?
It's quite literally your father's fault. You don't need to worry about it.
This is where I could not I was like, how's it your fault somebody else is like an evil dick? Like, I don't know what to do about that.
You've somehow turned around to make that, like, how did you do those gymnastics to make it like, this is your fault? Like, honey, no. Absolutely not. So I'm glad she came out of that. And
to me.
Her super deep, dark secret didn't change anything because it's not, like, it's not, at all.
Yeah.
Something.
No, but I mean, it's a core part of her and how she chooses to conduct herself. So, like, it's important in that way. But I think also what's very important is to see that the others were like, this doesn't change our perception. Like, you are who you
why
are.
Would it?
Yeah, but also because I think of who she is. Like, maybe with somebody else, I would be like, what? Like, I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine it because it's Lata. Like, she's so authentically is who she wants to be. And she's very clear about that and is very clear about the emotions she assigns to these feelings and like conveys them to everybody. So like, I just can't, like I can't imagine.
Yeah, she does. And she does absolutely make herself useful. Like, despite like she's concerned about not being useful because she doesn't fight or whatever. Yeah. But the information that she uncovers, like the things that she learns about, and then also the power that she ends up having where she can like erase memories or fix like your trauma, I guess, that way or whatever. That's extremely useful. So she is very useful. And I mean, that's like we were saying before, really key to Hufflepuff and to understanding Hufflepuff. Like they really they got to fit somewhere or they're going to break. Their brains are going to break. And she's not absolved from that. Like her and John have that in common.
Yeah.
But not much else. Like the way they view people, like the way they are in the world is very different. Certainly, obviously, because they have different lived experiences. Yeah.
And I mean, but, I guess you could say too, on a much more deserved level, like a lot of others, her parents, she's like, those bitches are dead.
For sure.
They deserve it. But she completely is like, I'm leaving my country, never speaking to them again. I'm telling everybody I know that they're dead. Like, Yeah.
And then she's like, are they going to get mad at me because I said they were dead? Like, are they going to get mad at me? Like, no, Lata, no one's mad at you. They're the assholes. It's okay.
Yep.
Breathe. So what else? I don't remember what else. That was a huge thing that jumped out as me.
This is also why I want more of the Winchesters, because though her and Carlos were in like the entire season, the season was so focused on like Mary and John get together. Like this is so like I would like to see more. Like Lata got that one episode and that was like her episode, and then Carlos got that one episode with Gabriel or Loki, I guess he was pretending to be at the
Gemini.
Rivers Gemini. And Jericho Kid.
Name.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So and I mean you see her Hufflepuff in relation to all of them too, right? Like so she's not the fact that she went to an Alice Cooper concert without him. Do you know how I would have raged? Like, I would have been so mad. And she was just like, yeah. So anyway, we went and it was really fun. And like, it's just totally cool with it. She's like, Carlos was like, yo, what do you mean? She's like, move on. Anyway.
Carlos was so funny. He was like, I'll forget, but I'll never forgive.
This will not be forgiven. But okay, so then, do you want to talk about Carlos?
Yeah. I love Carlos. I want to say Carlos, right now.
Carlos is my favorite character on the show. 100%.
Jojo. Oh, I love Jojo. I'm so happy they found Jojo.
Dude, I don't know.
I love them.
What is in that performance.
I love them.
But there is some fucking like fairy dust that every time Carlos is on your screen, he steals the scene. Yeah. Like it's all about Carlos. Like I'm serious. And I'm watching and I'm trying to like analyze John and Mary and everything else going on around. And I'm just like looking at Carlos in the corner. I'm like, another outfit, another sleigh. Your hair looks amazing. You're so funny. Like, it's just such a great character. I love Carlos. So when I was thinking about where Carlos would fit, I initially was like, oh, probably a Ravenclaw. Because I'm thinking about that episode, like his episode. And I'm thinking about his past and about his parents and his family. And I so often think of other characters to relate to, but I'm like just thinking, like if it didn't hit me like a brick, I think about it, right? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, I was like, oh, maybe he's like a Phoebe Buffet that got like, you know, she didn't have her parents. She has this whole tragic backstory and becomes this badass and is like the one who's had this crazy past that occasionally comes up and it's kind of rock starry. And I think I got into my head with that because the missing component for that was I was like, Carlos doesn't have a system.
Yeah.
Like they're just one to straight up not exist. So then I have to be like, okay, where else could he fit? And the only other place Carlos could fit is Gryffindor. Because there's no Slytherin or Hufflepuff in Carlos. So Lauren agreed.
Yeah.
She had him in Gryffindor too.
Yeah. Between those four, I was not feeling an intelligence house. That's not a that's not a dig. It's not a dig at all. Once upon a time had no logic houses to be found.
Oh God. Yeah, no. There's no
people be fighting with heart in the Winchesters.
It is true. There's a lot of emotions.
It's so funny. You can feel you can feel the lack of a Sam Winchester. It's so interesting.
Yeah,
you can sit there and be like, yeah, this is what it would have been if Sam stayed in college. Like
some angry tears, some like a painful discussion of memories.
Like it's from the beginning for me when Mary's mad at him and she doesn't want him in the group because he like kissed her boyfriend or something. They're like having this little Gryffindor tiff. And Carlos is like, I don't get it. Get over it. Like, I would get over it.
Like, why do you care?
Lana's like, why do you not understand? And he's like, oh, I do, but she's mad at me. So, like, get over it. Like,
yeah, like, if you did it, she can be mad at you forever. I really don't care. No, you can't do that to me.
No, the
rules are different.
No, he was also like, I would be mad at her. But, but also.
Yeah.
No, it's
Carlos absolutely really well, like, does a really good job of displaying the
paradox.
The fucking how do I say this, Lauren? Like the split. It's like
I'm amazing. I hate myself.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that was wrong, but I'm wonderful.
Right.
But also fine. Spit on me just once.
Like
hit me
if
once.
Somebody did this to me, I would hate it, but I'll do it to someone else. Like
yeah. Well, so okay, and so he's also like a young guy, and he's got like a lot of trauma in his past, and the way he's ended up coping with. So he ended up having to either the choice was like go to prison or enlist. And so he decides to enlist and he's a medic, right? That's what he did.
He's a Navy medic.
He's a medic and he has a lot of shit to process with that. And also specifically surrounding his parents because ghouls killed his whole fucking family. So
yeah, and ghoul deaths, they eat them. Like those are not
bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And then they take on their shape and they talk to you as your parent.
Yeah, so like imagine that.
Yeah.
And then
it's a traumatic monster. Like not that like all monster deaths are traumatic.
Yeah, but this
but like imagine like
bad.
A vampire sucked all the blood out of my sister's neck, like Gordon Walker, and like or like a ghoul ate my family as looking like another human and then and then was them. And talked to me because they had all their memories. Talk to me as my family member.
Ooh, it's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad. So he has to deal with Milligan. Really. Yeah. I never even thought about that. I'm so sorry, Adam. That's John's fault that I don't care about Adam.
John gave that kid a better life than he ever gave Sam and Dean. Like I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah, like R.I.P. Adam, but like also fuck you for what you got that Dean didn't get. So anyways,
for the one baseball game you got to go to.
Yo, baseball's a really big deal to John. Like he wanted to professionally play. And then even like in the episode with his dad, he's like, he never came to any of my games. Like, all right, you're a real baseball guy.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Sports. So Carlos has had to deal with a lot, like heavy shit. Like John also has to deal with PTSD, but he doesn't have to deal with like the ghouls doing all of what we just described.
Yeah.
Because that's real bad. So he's had to figure out how to cope.
Like I never thought it, like this just struck me as so sad. I really hadn't thought, because he says at one point, he's like, life on the road, it's impossible not to run into a monster at some point. So like it was kind of sad for me too, because Carlos is like this like free wanderer spirit type. Like he doesn't like to be tied down. Like he likes to like travel and go all over the place and like experience new things or whatever. And he like the way that he said that, it was kind of like it was inevitable. Like my life was always going to be fucked because I wanted to be free, and that freedom, this is the price. Like you would run into a monster eventually.
Yes, absolutely. And he also said a really Gryffindor thing when he was talking to Mary. Where she was like, the reason my dad's all messed up right now, we talked about this earlier, it's my fault. And he explains to her what happened with his parents. And he's like, so you sound dumb. Like, I know that wasn't my fault. You need to know that's not your fault. And she says, so how do you stop feeling guilty about that? And he's like, you don't. You just learn to deal with that. Right. Like, that's literally it.
No, and that was at the point when he was like, and one day I will kill the rest of them. But like,
exactly. Like you don't forget. You don't forget any of it, but you have to find ways to like be okay day to day. And if he constantly for the rest of his life was like, it's my fault, like that's just a recipe for human disaster. Mm-hmm. You're not going anywhere good with that. So Gryffindors have a fair amount of emotional intelligence. I think Carlos is one with like a lot of it because he's very often the person
definitely one that like displays it and.
Definitely.
Like, I think a lot of Gryffindors have emotional intelligence and either they don't realize what it is or they, like, for some reason are ashamed of it. So they don't really utilize it. Carlos is like, no, this is a tool in my arsenal that I have.
But that's also the thing, too. It's like, how do you want to be in life? Okay. Do you want to be the person that people come to?
Right.
Or are you like Nick Miller and like you want to be left alone? Because don't
make me say words to you.
Yeah, like I have the right words. I don't want to say them. You just know them. Just know them.
Well that's related to like if you listen to my words and it doesn't work, then I'm responsible. Carlos is like ready to take that on.
Dude, like Dean is so half and half with this because you can see him sometimes like he'll come out with some like emotional bangers, like great advice. And then other times he's like, oh my God, why can't you just know? Yeah. Just know what to do. Stop. Just know. I don't want to be blamed for this. Like he's very half and half with that. He's very close to the middle. Where Carlos is like straight up like, what happened, honey? Because I already have the answer. Like you're silly that you haven't gotten this on your own. But Carlos is here to tell you what to do.
Yes.
He will give you the advice. And he's also like very snippy and very like the queen at the end was like, join me or die or whatever. She's like, Carlos, I know like forget these other idiots. Like you're the smart one. And he's like, I'm sorry. Are you still speaking? Why are you still talking? It's very Gryffindor. Like the level of just annoyed all the time. Or with the cop where he gets pulled over and they're like really demons. And he's like,
never mind. I don't like their Creta.
I lied.
I don't like your sunglasses.
Never liked them.
He does have the paradox going on too, where he's like very flirtatious and is like easy, but then somebody he actually really likes, he's like, Lana's like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
He can't deal with it. Oh man, just put him on the right side because like same. It's such a thing. I don't really understand that either. I'd probably should examine that with a therapist. Like, what is that? What is that? That's so weird.
Oh, there are real stakes here? Yeah.
It matters.
There's an emotional stake here.
Yeah, and you could be responsible for something going wrong. Oh, no. The worst thing. Yeah, so he's very, like, vengeance thirsty, obviously, as he should be for, like, what happened to his family. But he's, like, okay with taking his time to get there. He's cool that he's like, I'll get there.
I was so interested too when Samuel comes back and you can't call him Sam. He hates that. When Samuel comes back and he's like, I'm so interested in like what you like the last time I saw Lata, she was like this scared little kid. And he describes Carlos as like this feral little thing ready to like rip into anybody. So I was like, oh, that's such an interesting like development that you see, and also vary their houses. But like, Carlos is a little chiller I mean, like John is in Supernatural is vengeance driven, but I don't see Carlos as that unhealthy.
It's like
he's not like dedicating his life in every waking moment to like, I gotta find those ghouls. He's like, one day I'm gonna run into those bitches and they're dead. Like
exactly.
When I find them, they're dead.
But he's got a lot of.
But I've got a family and I've got other shit to do. Like, that's not the most important thing. That's just something that will happen eventually because I will make it happen.
Because I think Carlos is the type to not suffer fools in general. Like, he gets very annoyed very quickly with idiocy. Like, he just doesn't have a high tolerance for it. So, like, even when he first meets John, he's like, come on, I'm going to just, like, train you. Like, I can't deal with the incompetence level here. Like, this is what we have to do.
Right.
Just get on board and get it. And he's immediate. It's great. It worked. Like, it worked out fine. And I think he's like that.
Well, he's lucky John's a Hufflepuff. Who's like, I gotta fit into this. Okay, I gotta do it.
Yeah. It works out very well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he's like that in all things. It's very, like, even with when his friend Jericho, whatever, like, tells Lata what his name was, he's like, move on.
It's like, you're never allowed.
Don't look at it, move on. And that's such a Gryffindor thing. It's like, if you make me feel any level of truly embarrassed, like, I'm just going to stonewall you until you move on from it. Like, don't talk to me about it. And I very much recognize that.
No, but
in him.
Well, that entire the episode was that like Loki puts this spell on you, and like when you sing, you burn somebody up or whatever. So so like he takes on the curse for Jericho because Loki's like, Jericho's gonna die unless you take on the curse. So he takes it on, and then
self-sacrificing little shit,
right? And then Loki's like, you have to sing and kill somebody or you'll die. And Carlos is like, okay, so I'll die. And, that breaks Loki's curse because his whole thing is like, humans always choose the selfish route or whatever. And Carlos didn't. But it was just very great. Like, like,
okay, so it's my time.
I refuse to be responsible for somebody's death.
Yeah. And then fine, I'll come back as a ghost and find the ghouls and kill. Like, I'll find a way. It's not the end of my journey, bitch. I don't care. He's just very relatable. I really enjoy Carlos. And then we have have Miss Ada.
No. I thought we were holding her.
Oh, are we going to hold off?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to hold off. You're right. I forgot that we said that.
Listen, not only are we holding out for season 2, we do. I think I would like to genuinely sort Millie because I love her.
Me
too.
Think
she's a great character, and I think that we can sort Samuel if we do, even if we don't get us, because there's a lot of Samuel's in like half of season 6.
There's Tony.
Is Mitch Pileggi. So
there's.
Yeah.
The Jin Kit, half Jin Kit.
Oh, yeah.
So there's other characters, and I think renew the show so that we can talk about
so we have a reason.
More.
Like, we'll talk about it anyway, but
this was like, I always love coming back to shit like this that me and Lauren are like really into the fandom or really integrated into the world and like really know it and understand it. Because for me, this conversation's flowed very easily, and I had no problem making like rational arguments. Whereas sometimes with shows, I'm like, I really have to think about. Like, I don't have to think about it here. I got this. Like, I know I know you people.
Yeah. It's like we're talking about friends. It's like so intimate. They're just ingrained in our everyday, which may be sad.
Yeah, they are.
Possibly is sad. But like,
whatever. Don't take it from me.
They're so ingrained in our everyday existence because this is just how like we talk to other people and relate to other people. So
totally. Whether you like it or
sad.
Not. Whether you like it or not, I don't care. The second I talk to you within 5 minutes, I know what you are.
Extremely grateful to, Jensen and Danielle and Jared and Rob and like, everybody who was like, who is enabling this world to be opened and for us to get to meet more people. So
definitely. So invite more like Misha and also renew the show. They could get Crowley on here. There's so much fun shit could happen.
When Rowena showed up and was like, give me the plant, I was like, Crowley's in that plant. He's in that plant.
Yeah.
Get him the fuck out of that plant. I want to see it.
He would. Mark Shepard would.
He would kill it.
Mark Shepard would come back to this. Come on, let's go.
For Jensen,
baby.
yes, he would. And I also think he would fucking find it hilarious. He loved acting with Ruth. Like, I can't wait for Mark to write his tell-all because it's coming. But he's been pretty open about the fact that his issue with Crawley at the end was that they weren't giving him anything to do.
Yeah.
Which Mark is a fucking amazing. Has he won a BAFTA? Like, he's like
he should have.
He's like a actor. And you're like and he's an actor who has lowered himself to the CW. And you're like wasting him on these bullshit stories when you could have had him doing so much cool shit.
It's so true.
And you know what? And I think that the Winchesters would give it to him. So,
dude, you've got Robbie at the helm. Yeah. It's amazing. Like, the show's writing was so good. I just really, really enjoyed this. And I'm glad I gave it a chance. And I hope that other fans out there that are like on the fence about it, give it a shot. I'm serious. I'm not just saying it because for myself that I want it renewed.
Right.
If it ended here, I'd be sad and also like just so happy for having had it because it was so good.
Before the show aired, everybody was like, regardless of whether or not you like the premise, you need to watch it because this is how we get more supernatural. And while that is still true, I'm being very transparent here and saying that like I love the show. Like if nothing else ever happens, I want to continue seeing the the Winchesters. But also keeping the
same.
Winchesters on the air does make it easier for Jensen's got a whole cinematic universe planned, I'm sure. And they want to do a revival. They've been very open about the fact that like 2025, they're going to start being like, okay, how do we do like the Supernatural miniseries revival? So.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the thing, like where when you hear about a show that gets announced that you're immediately like, well, like you may be being negative about, like, do you understand that it opens up doors for all these other possibilities too? And also, what's the worst that can happen if you give the thing a chance? Right. So in this sense, you should give the Winchesters a chance. Like, worst case scenario, you're opening up the door to all these other amazing possibilities. But best case, and what I promise you is going to happen, you're going to like it.
If you're listening to this, I'm assuming that you've seen the Winchesters, so I don't even know.
Yeah, so you probably agree with this, but like, go play this for your friend.
Right.
Who, like, you can't
play this and they're like, oh my God, I love this podcast. Listen to this clip right here that I picked randomly. Like, you know, like.
Coincidence. Anyways, I hope so much that there's a season 2 so that we can, look, even if there isn't, we'll still do another episode about these characters because we really like them. This is the problem, is you've made me really like them.
I know.
So you have to give me more.
I love the actors. Like, the actors themselves. They were so cute. They were doing live streams. They were getting together. Like, they're all
so
friends.
Excited. Yes. And fun to watch and humble and sweet and like.
And talented.
Really nice people and so talented. Come on. What more do you want?
Yeah, don't break them up.
Give me more. So we'll be
renew the Winchesters.
We'll be like tweeting out the hashtags and everything. And I should like say sorry to the people that care about like, you know, our fun polls and graphics and stuff. The last 2 weeks there's been a lot of personal things going on. And I honestly have like been very far removed from my phone and social media the past week or two. So I haven't been on that. And I like our memes and our polls and everything have taken a backseat for a second. Like the great episode. I feel so bad. We had so many memes.
We had word memes. I forgot.
I know. Because both of us, Lauren and I, both.
You can probably hear that my voice is still kind of gone.
There's things going on. Yeah. We've been really sick. There's also been like just personal stuff. You know, like
you're lucky you got this episode.
I'll totally tell you. But just stuff. So just sorry that like that's fallen off for a second, but we'll be back to normal with the Winchesters and rallying for them because we really believe in the show and want it to keep going. So thank you for listening. Go stream the Winchesters on the CW app.
On HBO Max. It's on HBO Max now. Go do it there.
I just watched it on the CW app today.
Oh, you should have watched it on HBO. There are no commercials.
Oh, okay. I'll go do it.
Yeah.
I'll stream it again.
Watch it. I mean, it helps in both places, I think, but HBO is where the it's where Gotham Knights is doing incredible right now because it's like they're like third. I think the Winchesters is still in the top 10 of
cool.
most streamed shows on the HBO Max.
I'll play it again. I would love to watch the finale again. I really enjoyed it.
Deanie Weenie.
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny? As I was saying that, I wasn't even thinking about Dean. I was just thinking about the show.
Just like the show's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, see, that just clicked in my head. Like, what a testament to how good it actually is. It's not just Dean file. Like, it's so good, guys. So renew that shit or I'll be under your bed. And
CW president.
Our next episode is it truly Gilmore Girls already? It's not Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, I'm sorry, you're right. It is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yo, thank God. I could not finish Gilmore Girls in 2 weeks.
No, but yeah, next is Guardians of the Galaxy, and we get 3 episodes in May. It's Guardians of the Galaxy, Gilmore Girls, and then Rachel and George have to tell me what episodes of Walking Dead to watch.
We'll get there. So a lot of fun stuff.
You can tell
coming.
I'm excited. So
hey,
yeah,
you're gonna love it. I guarantee it.
I saw all of season 1. I don't know. I doubt I remember any of it. I remember they went into a city, and one of them sat in a tank. They found a tank and they were like, this is where I'll get inside.
Grimes.
I'll get inside
That's my favorite cowboy.
And maybe the zombies won't get me in this tank.
Worked out, man. Made it to the end. And now him and Michonne, their beautiful relationship, they're going to get a show where they get reunited. Anyways, guys, we'll talk about The Walking Dead soon. I really love The Walking Dead. And a ton of things that we have coming. I'm like really excited to talk about. So we're almost there. Thanks for listening to this one.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you in 2 weeks. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Sort of Brilliant. If our sorting choices inspired any rage or excitement, we'd love to hear from you. We're open to feedback, suggestions for characters to sort, and solid counter-arguments with citations.
Never forget your citations. You can find us hanging out on Twitter and Instagram at SOB_pod or shoot us an email at sortofbrilliant@gmail.com.
And since we're not above begging, please rate and subscribe to Sort of Brilliant on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please share our posts on social media. And if you're a Gryffindor, maybe you'll inspire sorting fights among your own friend group.
The theme music is Hot Shot by Scott Holmes. Can't wait to sort with you again next time. Bye!